Hey, how's it going, YouTube? Lawler here with some predictions. It's going to be RLCS 2025 EU Open number 2. We have our top 16 teams, as you guys saw by the video we did recently about the way that the matches play out, all that kind of stuff. We have our prediction sheet ready to go. Again, if you guys want to check out where to find the prediction sheets, Cody VRL on Twitter has it linked. Make a copy, do your thing. But before we get into all the specifics, a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is Prize Picks, and for those unfamiliar, it is a daily fantasy sports, or in my case, esports app that works in over 30 different states. I've said numerous times that if I had the opportunity to take my Rocket League knowledge and apply it to a daily fantasy option, I would. As an example of how it works, I've been recently watching a lot of the LGS. I've got my boy Verhulst, who needs to hit at least 2.5 kills per game over the course of all the maps. Timmy, who needs to do 3 kills on the maps. I don't think he's going to do that. I'm actually going to pick less. And then Imperial Hell, they had a little bit of a rough start, but 3.5 kills on average is actually quite a bit. I'm going to do less than that. Cool thing is I have 2 options to play. I can either do a power play, which means I have to hit all 3, or I can do a flex play where I can do 2 out of the 3, but my payout amount, my multiplier, is a little bit less. You can play online or download the app today and use code Lawler to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. And as always, make sure to play responsibly. That said, let's get back to the video. With these in mind, there's a couple narratives that we need to talk about and some realities I think we need to face. In Europe, we clearly have a favorite 3. It is Vitality, it is K-Corp, and it is NIP. That is straightforward. I don't think anybody is going to argue that. The conversation behind that is which pairing of 3 has a chance to take that 4th and final spot, and who at the end of the season in last chance qualifiers. And I know we're looking way far ahead already. But that's kind of the things I want to start talking about more is long-term narratives. But there is, in my opinion, maybe 3 teams that are in the running for the 4th spot, and then it'll be between those other 2 for the last chance qualifier for the 5th and final spot, assuming Europe goes and wins majors like they always do. So your 3 we take out of the play are Vitality, K-Corp, NIP. The teams behind them are Dignitas, GK, and then Gentlemates. And I think Gentlemates is probably the weakest of those 3 based upon what I've seen so far. Anything outside of that top 6. So I'm talking RRG, I'm talking 100%, even though they got a top 4 because Yours Curse is alive and well. Any of those teams that are below that, I don't see a world in which they will make the major. I just don't see it. So we are already down to like a 6-team region, in my opinion, that are actively fighting for 4 spots. And 3 of those spots are pretty dang solidified. You're going to see that narrative probably push through all my predictions. As you guys have been probably taking a peek, things pretty straightforward. Your top 2 in the group are moving forward in both NIP and Vitality. And until they come together, I just as a general thing with Ninjas in Pajamas, as you guys know, I'm very, very keen on them. But I do think when they play the top 2 teams, both in Vitality and K-Corp, they do tend to get suffocated and cannot keep up with the midfield presence that those other teams provide at the current moment. As they get more reps, as NAS slowly starts to become used to more of the RLCS level play through scrims and everything else and gets exposed to it, I do think NIP will flip that switch and then consider and make it a 3-headed monster in EU, which I think all of the rest of the world needs to be careful of. I think NIP, Vitality especially on LAN, and K-Corp online are the best teams in the world. To be not quite there yet because you have to throw in NRG, but like I think NIP could go toe-to-toe with NRG right now. That's just me being super biased towards like EU winning as always. But when it comes within their own bracket, the conversations that are going to be the more difficult is how we create that separation between the teams that are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so on and so forth. So I don't foresee these teams conceding the other ones. Maybe GK throws up a little bit of a fight against NIP here and we see some differences there. But my hierarchy is KC, Vitality, NIP. The 4 spot is between Dig and GK. I'm probably going to lean GK right now just because Dignitas continues to, while they have performances, they're not as convincing as I want them to be. And they can't clutch up when it matters most. In the high pressure moments, they tend to fall short. And then after that, open for discussion. Probably Mates, though, as that team. Because there's still a lot of talent on the team. I have not been impressed. They are kind of limping in all their victories. Games are way too close. It's problematic. Although we have seen that historically in the past as well, where they don't look that great online, but when they go on LAN, they clutch the heck up. But I think a lot of that is because of Itachi, and he's not on the team anymore. Anyway, Yeah, all the top seeds winning convincingly. The only one that I had questions on is Redemption and Start Point. I did look up hours past 2 and try to compare, and it looks like Smokes and Matane and the guys are definitely putting in some effort. I don't know about Cash, but obviously he was kind of frustrated. So you basically have in this matchup, it's Cash versus, in my opinion, a Chronic. Who's going to have a bigger impact? Who's going to have a bigger performance? I do really like Eugen on Start Point, and on Redemption, I'm a big fan of Smokes. Toxic, I also think has proven his worth at times, but I'm just going to choose to believe in Redemption for now. You'll see that come back to bite them later. Vitality dominates them, though, and then Vitality and IP. This will be my match of the day for sure. I'm very excited to watch this one. After that, in the lower bracket, we then have RRG going up against the Old Heads. I do think RRG is a stable team, a little bit of a sleeper team for that top 8. To me, they round out the top 8. They're in that conversation. JJ Rocks, then I'm going to take the Spanish Bim Bam over Start Point in a very close game. I could also see Start Point definitely winning this as well. Start Point, if I was a betting person, probably. But we're going to believe in JJ Rocks on this just because of JJ Rocks' unpredictability at times. I then have RRG beating Redemption because I just am not keen on the Cash team. I don't know what it is, but they tend to let me down a lot. So I'm going to continue to lean into that. And then I got Geek over JJ Rocks because they're the better team, and Geek closing out on RRG. I could see RRG somehow winning this, but I would like to see Geek showcase their value of how good of a team they actually can be. Over in Group B, Dignitas all the way through uppers. I don't see them getting any kind of complications. Ascend, if you guys don't know, is the young gun team to keep your eyes on. I've talked about them with Nico, Matt, and Gyuk. Talented players need exposure to the high level play before they kind of figure things out. K Corp obviously dominating their way through, with the only resistance coming from Dignitas a little bit. Again, Dignitas tends to be good, not in top 8 conversation. So another guaranteed top 6, but will they be able to work their magic in that top 6 match? Because I have them losing in the uppers as always. And I may have manipulated things a little bit accidentally to give me the ideal matchup to answer my question, which we'll talk about as well for storylines. Outside of that, mates over 100%, sure 100% made top 4. Not saying it was a fluke, not saying it wasn't a peak, not saying. I just personally believe that Gentlemates is the better team, and there was this long drawn-out conversation on First Touch yesterday that just irks me because they all talk about promise and all this. We broke down exactly why 100% won't be going to the major. If you guys want me to break that down, or you guys want to check out the Twitch VODs, come over to the stream. I will break it down for you guys. But long story short, these guys have all been competing for 4 to 5 years already, and historically they have, at best, finished 13th overall. It's not going to happen. They lost to, like, Dignitas beat themselves. The real conversation that should be had is that Dignitas, for whatever reason, can't get past the quarterfinals, and Stizzy had arguably the worst performance of his career. I would like to assume that doesn't happen again. We'll see what happens. It'll be interesting. EU's going to EU. They always do. Outside of that, K Corp is the number 1 team. Mates doesn't hold a candle to them. Mates just looks disconjointed as heck. I still don't understand the reasoning of why they chose what teammates they did when it came to the disbursement of talent in EU. I don't understand the reasoning. And then in the lower bracket, I'm going to go with the Old Heads with Extra and Astral over the new kids. Mates, I could see them conceding to save the game, which would be pretty crazy. But I do think Mates will be able to tough it out. We'll actually make that a 3-2. And then on the low side, I actually have Fast Forward over 100%. Fast Forward, if you guys don't remember, did not make top 16 the first time around, even though we all expected them to. And I think they're going to be able to claw their way back. I think you're going to see some pretty contrasting results compared to the first regional, which is expected. People kind of know what they're getting against their competition now, which should help the guys that consistently, like Fast Forward, who usually find themselves in the top 8. And by top 8, I mean like the 9 to 12 range. Ascend, we chose to believe in over a team. I think this is a favorable matchup for Ascend. I think Nico, Matt, and Gyuk can take it against Mike Boy and Compact. I think Compact and stuff has proven how good he is. But it's going to be a game 5. I think this will be a game 5 banger. I think this one will be very exciting, and it's for a guaranteed top 8, so it's pretty important. And then Mates, I would like to assume, can win a close game 5 against either of these teams. So that's where we're going. Over into our final bracket, and you're going to see some interesting stuff here. Again, top 2 continue to be top 2. I think NIP can compete. Realistically, it should probably be like a 4-2. I do think NIP can compete, but K Corp is just suffocating, and NIP hasn't gotten it. I don't think it's going to be fixed in just 2 weeks. To me, they're still clearly far ahead, the 3rd best team in EU, but it's going to be a little bit tough to do. And Vitality against Dig, I don't see a world where Dig beats Vitality right now. I think Vitality's midfield presence and mechanics are just better. They can do everything Dignitas does, but better and more efficiently. Geek in the lower, I think, is going to have a chance this time. They're going to push through. And like I said, I talked about wanting this matchup in particular. This is, to me, the #1 matchup we need to pay attention to in Europe if it happens. Both of these teams, in my opinion, are both fighting objectively for the 4th and final spot for the major. And winning this is what separates them. I think Geek is going to eke it out just barely, because until Yoris wins a top 8, technically this is a top 6, but it is the quarterfinal. Until he wins a quarterfinal match, single lib, I can't believe in it. I just can't. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on with the mental. But until they prove it wrong, which I think they are fully capable of doing, which is why I predicted them to do it last time, which they had the freest top 4 over 100%, and they still lost. I don't understand. I'm going to go with Geek. And that will put the nail in the coffin for Dig unless they go and make a grand final. That's their major done. So I'm going to choose early to predict that Geek is going to be the 4th team that goes to the major, unless Mates does something miraculous, which I don't foresee. Even more so than that, I do have Mates conceding to RRG, because I do think RRG is a little bit of a sneaky team. They do remind me of the old EG, where they're just a team that they're obviously kind of middle of the pack, but boy, do I want to avoid them in bracket. They're a pain in the butt to play. I think there is something about Rizix and Rizfox that people underappreciate. They can definitely surprise. I'm going to choose to believe in that just because I want to emphasize how little I am confident in the Gentlemates roster. Outside of that, I got NIP over RRG. NIP is, again, one of the better teams. And again, still just, I don't think they're there quite yet, which is why I have them losing to the 2nd best team at the current moment. K-Corp Geek, I love Geek to death. I think they're a good team. I just don't think they put in the hours needed to truly be a dominant force. The only reason they look good at majors is because they are literally forced to play the game because there's literally nothing else they can do. So Archie and the guys get their hours up like crazy, and then they just start to ascend, which we saw at the World Championship, and we've seen numerous times with the Oxygen team. And then for the grand finals, we candidly with you guys did a coin flip, and the coin predicted 4 heads for 1 tails, so K-Corp gets the win 4-1. Objectively, I do think Vitality is still the better team, and when it matters most on LAN, Vitality's playstyle definitely favors. There is a lesser requirement for mechanics, and we saw this exact same thing from K-Corp last time as well. Because don't remember last year, K-Corp, very mechanically heavy, very talented. I do think Drawley is an excellent addition, which kind of helps Vatira be a bit more confident on the offensive side. But on LAN, people tend to regress a little bit. They don't play as flashy. They don't go for as risky of play. They don't hit the mechanics as easily as they once did. And when you are a team that is built upon just really solid fundamentals, but still have the mechanics, which like you're talking the fundamental god in which is Funky Moon, that midfield pressure and stuff just keeps on clicking. So I think on LAN, Vitality is better, but online, K-Corp is better. That's my opinion of it. That's what I've got for my predictions. I'm curious on what you guys have for yours. How do we feel mostly about the Dignitas GK conversation? That's what I want to hear from you guys in the chat. That's what I want to hear from you guys in the comments. If we had to right now pick who is our 4th team going to the major, is it GK or Dignitas? Very interested to hear. Let me know what you guys have to say. And if you guys haven't already, enjoy the content, like it, subscribe, turn on notifications, helps me out. And we will we'll check back soon. We'll be doing watch parties this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, we will definitely be doing some EU watch party nonsense. Sunday, we will be doing coverage for Strictly Business for NA Top 32. But if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, as always, let me know. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.